There we go. I see red. Okay. Well, welcome everybody. Welcome back once again to Photography Schoolhouse. I'm Kerry Allen, and for tonight, I'd like to talk about beauty and glamour photography. And most importantly, I want to talk about making some money with it. But first of all, I want to define a few things. I want you to understand how we can produce a valuable product for the model while still making money for ourselves. Because I think at most levels, unless you're in a major center like New York or LA or something like that that's really in the industry, you're probably going to find that there's a lot of misunderstandings over what beauty and glamour photography is. So I want to get into that. If we can switch over to this. So what I want to talk about, first of all, what is beauty photography? I think same thing, but really I think of it as two different things. And in fact, I'm going to separate. Number one, I want to talk about what beauty photography really is, because unless the photographer and the model understand, they're going to be working on the wrong thing. Beauty photography at the professional level is about products. It's about hair. It's about makeup products. It's about nails and nail polish and all of the things that goes into creating, the fashion, cosmetic end of things. So you have to keep in mind that in beauty photography, the star of the shoot is the product. So imagine that you're doing a shoot for some nail polish company, and you take a beautiful headshot, but if there's no nails showing, you kind of miss the point of what the shoot was all about. So I think of it like that. So when you want to research anything in the beauty photography area at the professional level, think of things like Glamour magazine, Cosmo, anything like that. And if you look at the cover that's on screen right now, you'll see that even the stories that they're advertising on the front cover are really intros for them to talk about products. 342 hair ideas. Do you think there's going to be some hair sponsors in this issue of the magazine? Become a beauty genius, your makeup masterclass. It's quite likely there's going to be some makeup ads. So it's really about the product. And even the cover of the magazine really shows, while it's a beautiful model, it's really accenting the makeup and the hair. So that's how I look at beauty photography at the high end. Glamour photography is more about the model than it is about the products. So this is where, magazines like Glamour, Sports Illustrated Swimsuit Edition, Glamour magazine, Playboy, anything is all about the model. It's not really so much about what makeup they used or what hair products they used or anything like that. Now, this is a big area because really there's some crossover. You could think of glamour and boudoir photography as being similar areas because it's all about the person rather than the product. And this is where I think a lot of local models who are going to a portrait studio for work, they're kind of thinking the glamour end of things more so than the beauty end of things. So in glamour photography, the star of the image is the model. But then I decided I'd just add this little comment in, fashion photography, because they're all kind of linked together. And if we're talking about modeling, you can't talk about modeling without talking about fashion. So obviously now the focus shifts. It's not about the model. It's not about the makeup or the hair products. It's about the garment, whatever the garment's going to be. It's about the outfit. So you have to pose, construct, light, and shoot based on selling a product again. It's often said the model in fashion photography, the model is just a hanger that the clothes are draped on. A very expensive hanger, but nonetheless. So think of magazine covers like Bazaar or Cosmo or Vogue or anything like that. These are kind of fashion-related covers. So they're good ways. Looking at these magazines just online. You know, in the old days we had to go out and buy a copy. Now you can do it all online. Just look at what they're doing. Look at the kind of lighting that's popular, the expression on the model's face. What are they doing? Is it a big grin? Not so often. It's all sorts of things. So this is a good way of really appreciating what it is a professional model needs, whether she knows it or not. If she's trying to build a portfolio to get into modeling, what are the right shots for her to have? Now, as I said before, unless they're living in a major center like New York or LA or Miami or something like that, they're probably dealing with the local town photographer, who's probably a portrait photographer. They go out and they shoot weddings and they do senior photography and they do families and they do all of this. So they're not always skilled in the idea of shooting a model's portfolio. They get the call, they get the message from the model saying, hey, I need some pictures. And they will go out and do a good job, but will it be the right job? If they go out and take the best looking portrait in the world and the model takes the portrait into an agency, the agency is just going to escort them back out the door again. It's the wrong product. So just because you're a good photographer doesn't mean you're necessarily doing the right thing for the model. So understanding our local market, if we want to sell beauty and glamour photography for money. It's always fun to do it for free and build portfolios, and that's a legitimate deal. But ultimately, if we don't make money, we can't pay our bills and buy new toys and all the stuff that we need. So just about every community has a group of models that are looking for photographers and looking for work. Usually they don't have a ton of money to spend, but that's okay. You can find these models right on Facebook, usually. Almost any community, doesn't matter what community you're in, go to Facebook and do a group search for, you know, fashion or modeling or any of the keywords. You'll probably find groups right in your city, right in your town, that these models have collected to. There's another site called Model Mayhem, which has been around for many, many years. It has a pile of models, and you'll be able to search for ones in your area. So I just want to think about what it is the model really wants for a second. They might be in it just for fun. They know it's not going to be a career. They want to play around. They're looking good. They feel good. They want some pictures of that, and that's fine. That's a great thing to do. Others may actually have aspirations of making it in New York or Paris, or Rome, or LA, or anything like that. And maybe they have the appropriate height requirements and the look and everything else. But they are probably fewer between. So what about compensation then? Who gets paid in a shoot like this? Should the model get paid? Should the photographer get paid? Should nobody get paid? So really the way we look at it is when both the photographer and the model are new and building their portfolios, the term we use for that is TFP or TFCD, time for prints or time for CD. No money's changing hands. The photographer shoots and builds his portfolio. The model does the shoot and builds her portfolio. It's a win-win situation and both parties gain experience as they go. That's a legitimate thing. Still, after all these years, I still do it all the time. However, when a photographer is able to reach a certain status, when their work is just absolutely inspiring and everybody loves it, usually at that point, entry-level models are willing to pay to get the results that they want. They're not working with an amateur that they might get results. They're going to work with a pro where they're going to get the results. And then obviously the opposite is true. A new photographer might decide to hire a professional model simply because the trouble with a new photographer and a new model is that neither of them really know what they're doing. So it's worthwhile sometimes for a beginning photographer to actually pay an experienced model and get the benefits. At least one of them knows what they're doing. So the model gets paid. Local markets, Without going to a major fashion center, what can you do? There's earning opportunities out there. Again, I mentioned Model Mayhem. You can go to modelmayhem.com, do a search in your area, your zip code or city. You always have photographers that want to build their portfolio and want an awesome pro-level model. This kind of modeling didn't really exist that much 10 years ago. This has been kind of a new thing based on the internet, where models can actually make a pretty good living just working with local photographers, as long as their skills and their look is at the high end. Photo seminars. Notice how photo is spelled wrong. Well, you know what I mean. Photo seminars will often hire and pay models. So, there's all sorts of areas for both models to make money and for photographers to make money. I just think that it's worthwhile knowing what it is we're trying for. What is it that the model wants? Does she want to go to New York and be a pro? Does she want the beauty and fashion look? In which case you need to do your research and figure out what you're going to do. Faults of the photographer. Sometimes, both at the photographer level and the model level, the worst thing is when neither of them know enough to know that they don't know. They think they know what it is. But 9 times out of 10, when it comes to beauty and glamour, they don't really. So researching not only what the model wants, but being able to deliver the right kind of work. So it's going to start with a conversation with the model. What is it you want? What are your ambitions in this area? And then what normally happens is you go out and do some time for print stuff just to make sure that you're able to execute the proper kind of work. Many portrait photographers will get the call, and they'll always want to do business and say, of course I can shoot your portfolio. Of course I can do this. They don't even know that they don't know, if you know what I mean. So that's the problem on the photographer side. Problem on the model side, you see this as well. They don't really understand the very business that they want to get into. They have lots of false expectations about what's happened. I've seen this on Model Mayhem all the time, of models advertising their services for money, and they have no portfolio. They don't even have a single shot, but they state that they won't model for free. They don't want to make the investment in getting ahead in their own career. So they have false expectations as well. They don't even know what they want from modeling. They think that they're going to be discovered, and like Hollywood likes to advertise about how somebody's discovered in a bar, and suddenly they're the next big star. I imagine that happens. It's probably happened once this century already. Mostly, and you can ask our model tonight, Lori, she's invested an enormous amount of time and money in getting out there, meeting, attending pageants, meeting agents. It's a job. It's like anything else. It's a job where you don't get paid right away. You've got to make the investment in the hope that down the road you're going to connect with that big opportunity. So determining what you want from the session, planning your session. Is it going to be a personal shoot? They know they're not going to be a model. They're just looking good right now and they want some pictures. Well, that's fine. Perfect. Nothing wrong with that. Or they want to be a professional. Okay, we understand that. Do we want to do glamour photography, boudoir photography, nude figure photography? Do we want to do professional beauty and fashion? Just get your game plan together, find out what your customer wants, and then shoot accordingly. So tonight we're going to start with a very standard beauty shot, and the way that we do it is not unlike a headshot, except we do some things slightly differently, so we're going to illustrate that. So we're going to take 5 minutes. If you need to go get a drink of water or a cup of tea or something, give us 5 minutes while we set up the headshot booth. Travis will sing in the meantime. Oops. Wrong way. Am I off camera? Because I'm going to move that camera.
Yep, we're good.
Come on over here, Lori. Have a seat, and we'll get you in position. You're going to come right up to this table, right about there. I'm going to make this a little higher, or a little lower, I mean.
Without reflector?
Yeah, that'll be on this side.
The video lights off? Or?
We can, yep. Okay. Which one's live again?
You can talk to this
Talk to that one. Hello. This camera is probably blocked for a minute, but you can see where we're starting to set up. Very similar, as I said, to headshots that we did a couple of weeks ago, except if you remember, our setup for that was 3 strip lights. Strip light here, and one down below. Gave excellent catch lights, excellent lighting for the headshot, and excellent catch lights in the eyes. But what we're going to do with this, why this is subtly different, we're going to move these lights as close together as we can while we can still get a camera lens between them. So we get kind of the ultimate soft light. We're using a 3x4, and this is being nasty. Won't stay in position. We're using 2 identical 3x4, or 2x3, sorry, 2x3 soft boxes. Okay, it's just going to drive me nuts. We're going to get some tape or something to hold this in position.
It's right there in the corner.
Right there in the corner. Okay, now we're talking. Perfect. Now, with the wider light source, we're going to get softer light than we would with the strip lights that we used before. And in beauty photography, it's all about the softness. We want to fill every pore of her skin with light. She seems happy about that. So I'm just going to take a test. I'm going to make these lights of exactly equal power. Everything here is the same. It's the same power of flash head, the same exact softbox. And I'll just take a test. To see where I'm going with the lighting. There we go. A little bright. A little dark. Getting there. I'm just going to check the histogram. Now, I'm not putting any light on the back wall. It's a gray wall. I have no light, just whatever light is falling off. Laurie's about 5 feet, maybe 6 feet from that back wall. And we're pretty good. I could add an accent or hair light if I wanted to. That's optional. But I'm not really seeing anything wrong with the way it is right now. Now, to continue bringing in some reflectors, maybe Dave, if I can get a hand. I'm going to take a big reflector on her side and just try and position it, right up beside, so it's practically leaning on the table. Right up beside. Just set it on the floor so it hopefully will stay itself. And we're going to finish it off. We've got some way of just holding it there. No. Okay. We might even add, we're not going to right now because it'll also block off the camera if we do it. We normally have another reflector on her other side. So she's going to have the 2 main lights in front. She's going to have 2 reflectors, 1 on each side, and optionally a hair light if you want. And then it's just getting the right composition. Good. Now, turn your shoulders a little bit, the other way. Lean into the shot. Yeah, without scrunching up, just, like that. Drop that front shoulder. Back shoulder high, front shoulder low. Good, good. And as always, I'm focusing on her eyes and recomposing. Single spot focus. Because I want to make sure that no matter what part of her face is in focus, it's definitely the eyes. I'm shooting right now at f8, so we have good depth of field. You can see right from the tip of her nose to the back of her hair, although the far back of her hair is starting to go out of focus, but most of her hair is in fine focus, her ear and everything else. So f8 at this is a good f-stop, and critical focus right on the eyes and eyelashes. Now, one thing that I would probably want to do is to adjust the collar of her dress so that it doesn't slack at the back. So this is where we'd have our assistant come up and she'd work with the wardrobe and just make the wardrobe all perfect. Of course, we can fix things in Photoshop, but the less we have to do, the better it is. Get it right in camera at all times. And Laurie's fixing it herself. And it's all good. Good. So imagine this is a shoot for cosmetics. So I'd be asking myself the question, if a woman saw this picture, would she say, "Oh my God, I love that lipstick," and run right out and buy it? Remember, in beauty photography, it's about the products. Her nails, if we were advertising nail polish, then the nails have to be a prominent thing. Of course, that there are some models that are just hand models. They have perfect hands and that's all they do. Everything else is no good, but the hands are good. Good. Very good. So there's really not much more to this. It would just be a variety of outfits, a variety of posing and looks. If you need a smiling look, then you'd work in that direction. So, but I want to squeeze in a couple more lighting setups into the time that we have, so I'm not going to dwell on this for too long. But that's the basic beauty headshot booth. 2 main lights coming from the front of exactly the same power. Reflectors on either side, and an optional hair light or kicker if you want it. If you want to light the background so that it's pure white, that's cool too. Nothing wrong with that. But right now we're going to take another couple of minutes and we're going to switch to another kind of beauty and fashion lighting, which is more along the lines of a ring light. So, Lori, you can just relax for a second. And I'm going to disassemble this. Oops. Now, tonight, I don't know which camera's on. Behind me. Okay. So tonight what we have is an Alien B ring light. Now, you've probably seen ring lights before. The camera goes right through. That's okay. Camera goes right through the middle so that the light is all around. And that's the typical way that a ring light is used. And we're going to start with that. But we've got some much cooler things to do after that. So, Trev, if you can, while Dave hooks up the ring light, can you bring in the other strip light? Trav is our broadcast engineer.
That's the one that's out here, is it?
Yeah, that one is going to have to come into the corner where the reflector is. And that we want, no, back into the corner as far as we can get it. Just pointed towards Lori. And then the other one that's out in the hall right now, we just put where the reflector is over there. Now it takes a little while to get the ring light hooked up to the camera, but Dave's on it.
And same idea?
Yep. Right as far into the corner as you can get it, aimed back at Lori.
Pretty good shape. Get rid of that black bit.
Yep. We're not going to need this light or this light. Watch your nose. Okay. Almost hooked up. And if this is blocking a video camera, that can go. Thanks. Okay, let's just take a test. No light, no flash. Probably because it's not on. There we go.
There's your power.
There's the power. Yeah. That's okay. I'm going to do it here. Wow. Wow, she says. A little bright. Okay, this isn't a bad place to start. Look at the effect of the light, even though it doesn't matter, she was looking away. She didn't know she was posing. Notice the shadows on the background. This is kind of indicative of a ring light. This is why the fashion people like it so much. And the closer she is to the background, the more that this characteristic look is going to happen. So Lori, just stand up for a second and go a few feet back, maybe a foot in front of the background. I'm just going to zoom in a little bit. Now, of course, we'll have to adjust the power because she's further away. Now you can see how the shadow on the background is kind of outlining her body, as if somebody took a marker and drew an outline all around her body. That is characteristic shadows from a ring light. Now, if you sit back down again, Laurie. Obviously, the further away she is from the wall, the less that light appears, or that shadow appears. The other thing that we can do is we can enhance a little bit. Notice the shadow down her arms. See if I can recompose this and get both arms. Notice how the edge of her arms are in shadow. This is another characteristic of ring lighting. So, very popular for fashion, not always desirable. So what we're going to do, Dave, I may need your help on this. We're going to turn on these strip lights in the corner. Power. Let's set them for about a power level of 2. And then also you're going to have to hit the optical button to activate the optical slave. One that looks like a little eyeball. And we'll just do a test, make sure that they're all syncing. Looks like they are. Okay, I wasn't really aiming the camera. There you see how we're getting the effect of the rim light, of the ring light, but the kickers are alleviating that shadow down her arms. Now we could turn them up even higher if we want, but I don't think we really need to. And we've got some artifacts flashing around the studio, creating that mottled background, but you know what? I kind of like that. You know, pure plain backgrounds are fine from time to time, but I don't think there's anything wrong with this. Maybe that blob of light at the top I'd Photoshop out. But, you know, that's just personal preference at that point. Good, good, good. I get in just a bit closer. Little eye contact. There we go. Oh, never again. Now, a lot of danger of getting red eye in this because, after all, the ring light is directly in front of her eyes, into her retinas, back out. So, if you wind up getting some red eye, and there's really not a lot you can do about that. You can, of course, take it out in Photoshop or Lightroom. What some photographers will try is have a primary flash that fires ahead of the main flash. That narrows the pupil down because it's bright, and then there's not as much red eye by the time the ring flash goes. I think it's easier just to do it in Lightroom or Photoshop. But like I said, don't be surprised if that's kind of the look you wind up with. Nice. Now, and it's going to be a little different. We haven't done with ring flash before.
It seems to have dropped out.
I have dropped out. I'm a dropout. Well, not according to this, I'm not. Test it. Are you getting my audio? Some full green here.
You want that on the stand?
Yeah.
Still seeing wings.
Maybe for the rest of the week.
That's why I call it ring flash.
Yes.
Wow.
Okay. Not all that comfortable for the model, by the way.
It looks good.
Yeah,
Yeah.
gotta keep the power low because the only thing I can say.
Sign the release saying that I don't need my eyesight.
Yeah, yeah. Should have signed that first.
Actually, take this
You
off.
would probably want that.
Won't work with it on.
It'll work on optical, though, which should be
Yeah.
good.
We'll have to put something else.
Yep.
Where you want it to.
Let's put it on this side. So we're going to use the ring flash underneath the lens instead of around the lens. Get this, hold on, I'm going to lower the stand a little bit.
Okay, got it.
Okay. And we're going to try it directly on axis.
Do you have to take one of the other soft optical?
Perhaps. One of them has to fire because the ring flash is on optical, right?
Yes.
Where's my transmitter? Did it go?
Yeah, definitely. Definitely.
Does deer in the headlights mean anything to you?
What?
Okay, well, let's reduce the power, see if we can save you a little bit from that. Yeah, we're going to have to kind of tilt it up a little bit. And then I think what we're going to do, Dave, if you don't mind,
Raise and.
yeah, we're going to lower this.
Oh.
If I can get it just a touch lower. Swing that big light back in here, and we'll make kind of a clamshell thing out of it.
And up.
And up. And just to light the top parts, we got the kickers going nicely. And let me try this.
It's just getting going.
Yeah. A little bright. That was F10.
Is there a lock to keep it from moving?
Yeah, that
Tape.
tape. I don't know why it's swinging like that. There we go. Is the tether working? There we go. Now, let's try this. All right, I'm going to get you to try standing for a second. This might be too much, but we'll try it right in where the stool was. And then now for glamour photography, having the light down at this level and kind of angled up slightly is going to give us more accent on the chest, create some shadows. In fact, we probably want to get the light a little bit lower. This stand won't go any lower, but you can see what's happening by the shadow over shoulders on the background. So we're basically accomplishing what we wanted. I'm going to make one other tiny little change. I'm going to open up just a bit.
You want a little more on the top?
Yeah. We'll go to F8. Nice. so interesting how the shadow is still there being cast by the ring light, but it's not as definite as it was. I kind of like this lighting just the way it is right here. So, Dave, do you want to try a few? Is your... Okay. So, are there any questions, Travis? Is the question dialogue up? No? Okay, all right. I was looking in the wrong area. Scroll down a bit. Oh, the other down. The other up. Okay. That seems to be the wrong chat window, but whatever. Chat wing window is empty, but the other one has messages. Well, let's go to the other one. Okay. Regarding the use of models' photos without a release form. Okay. Who said that? Me. Okay, that was part of the photographer. That photographer is unethical. Yes.
Last week.
Yeah.
This week.
Okay, well, one question about model releases, and that's a good subject, particularly with this model, who had an unfortunate experience that she's still dealing with an unethical photographer who was posting images of her for sale, making money on them, does not have a model released, never told Lori. She had found out about it totally by accident. And obviously what we do is we have model releases that allow us to use her image in the promotion of our work, Photography Schoolhouse or whatever. We do not have the right to sell her image without compensating her in some way. Now, KG Photo, how about a whiteboard on the tabletop? Absolutely, you could do that. One more light coming up from the tabletop, either a white reflector or just a simple white piece of Bristol board, just helps bounce more light into the picture. And then I'm going to try and elegantly get out of the way. And if you want the shooting chair, Dave gets a chance to shoot. We promise him every time. Well, there's a great picture of my bald head. Now, there are other ways of using a ring light off camera. I've seen photographers that use it just like a beauty dish, where you could have it above the camera and basically do some clamshell lighting, just like you were using two softboxes or something. You could put it beside the camera and almost like a regular softbox and fill in the shadows with, a fill light of some sort. There's just scads of things you can do with a ring light. But if you really want that traditional fashion look, the ring light on the camera lens is going to give you that look. So I'm going to work up a couple of the images from this session and post them on our Facebook group, Photography Schoolhouse group on Facebook. And by all means, drop in there, take a look at the finished product after retouching. And if there's no other questions, I think I'm going to call it good for tonight. Lori's on a really tight schedule, so we promised to let her go. Sorry?
You have a question?
Oh, I can't read it from here.
What power setting was on the ring light and what ISO?
All of my exposures are based on 100 ISO. And I was shooting, at the end I was shooting about f8. At times I was up around f11. And my shutter was 125th of a second, but that's under flash is pretty much immaterial. So I think we're going to call it good, folks. Thank you very much for attending.
Did you get me falling over?
We're going to call it good for tonight, and we'll be back next week with another pro lighting in the home studio episode, while these two kind of have fun in the studio. So take care. Have a good